Hey everybody, what's going on? My name is CoopCraftMC, and welcome back to another reaction video. Today we are reacting to top 15 most racist video games ever. Let's watch. And it will turn.
Hellbent. From unintentionally racist Easter eggs and otherwise kid-friendly games to games that unabashedly hate anyone that isn't white, we count 15 of the most racist games of all time. Number 15. Resident Evil 5. When the first trailer for the game was released, there was a lot of controversy in the news about how it was racist, with journalists writing about how the game seems to be a blatant demonizing metaphor of the AIDS epidemic in Africa. The next trailer came out showing off Sheva, a half-black partner to the white Chris Redfield. It's impossible to say for certain if she was included to try and show just how not racist they are, but it certainly looked that way to the media. When the game was finally released, there was a lot of debate over whether or not the game was actually racist, and no final consensus was reached, although most agreed that if the game was in fact racist, it wasn't made so on purpose. Number 14. Scribblenauts. With a game like Scribblenauts where you can make just about anything you can think of, it's not exactly hard to use the tools at hand to make something offensive, but that isn't what makes this game racist. When you type in the word Sambo, a racial slur against African Americans, a watermelon appears on the screen, perpetuating the stereotype that all African Americans love watermelons. However, it wasn't intended to be racial commentary. In fact, Sambo is a word also used for a fig leaf gourd, which happens to look a lot like a watermelon. An innocent mistake for sure, but it's a mistake that should have been ironed out before they sold the game. Number 13. First generation of Pokemon. If you grew up in the 90s, chances are pretty high that you were caught up in the Pokemon craze, with the card games, TV shows, and the video games being the main topic.
Yeah, I used to play Pokemon games a lot. Pokemon X and Y, Pokemon Park back on the Wii, remember that? I don't remember any more games, but yeah, I used to play Pokemon a lot back when I was like 7 or 8, around that age. So yeah.
Of conversation on the school grounds. While Pokemon is about as kid-friendly as you can get, one particular Pokemon from the first generation is about as racist as you can get. Jinx didn't always have purple skin. Originally she was pitch black, and the way her face was drawn made her look like the racist blackface caricatures from way back when. Kinda like one of those really offensive lawn jockeys if you put a dress and a wig on it. I can give the artist some slack because they probably didn't know it was an offensive design, but how did this get through Nintendo of America? Number 12. Call of Juarez, a cartel. Apart from not being a good game, this title got a decent amount of criticism for being insensitive towards real-life issues such as human trafficking and the drug wars going on in Mexico. Some critics say the drug cartel was characterized inaccurately and was based on racist assumptions, suggesting the writers didn't do their research. But the most racist thing in the game is the achievement where you get rewarded for killing 40 or more black people in an early level. It's hard to argue against the achievement being racist, even if the game goes on to say that you're a bad person for getting it. Number 11. Punch.
Yeah, that's pretty fucked up. I'll give him that one. That's fucked up.
Out. Pretty much every enemy you face in the game is from a different country, and the artist drew them to represent each country that they're from. Unfortunately, this led to Nintendo displaying them as stereotypical caricatures of their own countries. For instance, the Russian fighter was originally called Vodka Drongensky in the arcade version. This was later changed to be related to Innocent Delicious Soda Pop in the NES release. There's also the Spaniard Mikel Raparez, who's a flamingo dancer, a matador, puts roses in his mouth, and is obsessed with his appearance. Quite a few other fighters also act as stereotypical representations of their countries, even the Japanese one, which makes it tough to tell if the art is racist or simply ignorant. Us Americans got off pretty easy. Well, unless you count Mike Tyson, but he's a real person, so that's not exactly a racist representation, it's just a fact of life. It's kind of ironic that the only real-life character was the one that was so offensive that they had to remove him from all future games. Number 10. Revelations Persona. This is a case of localization gone horribly wrong. In the Japanese version of Persona, there's a joke character called Maso. He's a street dweller who's a big fan of dancing and graffiti. So in order to make this character easier for the American public to understand, they changed him from white to black. Because you can't have a white person be a street urchin, those stupid American gaijin won't understand the point. So just to hammer it in that this guy's from the street, they changed his dialogue to Ebonics such as "Yo, what's up?" and the like, making his transformation that much more racist. It's like they did a reverse Punch-Out. Number 9. Kung Fu Chaos. This game was a brawler and was intended to be an homage to kung fu movies, but instead ended up including more Asian stereotypes than you might think possible. For instance, there's characters named things like Captain Wonton, Chopsticks, and Ninja Fuhaya. But that's not all. The characters also have very stereotypical designs with overly squinty eyes and cliché Chinese clothing. The developer was surprised when he heard that the game was considered racist. He intended it to be quirky fun with a bit of parody. But when it comes to race and culture, you gotta tread carefully or else you might make some kids think this is actually how Asian people act. Number 8. Homie Rollers. There's no shortage of horrible car racers out there, but this one sticks out from the bunch.
No. You can't make a game like that. I thought my dog was in here. You can't. No. It's not okay. Homie Rollers, huh?
Over just how racist it is, with each of the characters speaking in an offensively exaggerated Mexican accent. The stereotypes don't stop at accents, though. There's a car shaped like a burrito. I mean, you can't get much more stereotypical than that. But that's not all. The characters are all portrayed as criminals that lack a single brain cell between the lot of them. Number 7. Spanish for everyone. This game starts with Sean being approached by a Spanglish-speaking kid named Miguel who asks to play with Sean's DS for a bit. Shortly after, Miguel gets picked up by his father in a limo and heads off to Mexico with Sean's DS still in his hands. Then Sean gets in the car with his auntie that he never met, then goes to Mexico to get his DS back. Throughout the journey, he meets various characters, all of who teach him Spanish words. No grammar or anything, just the words. Just enough to get his precious Nintendo back, that's all he needs to know. All of the characters who Sean meets are racist approximations of Mexicans, and to top it off, it's heavily implied that Miguel's father is tied up with drug cartels. At least that seems to be the reason the police are chasing him the entire way. Maybe everybody in the entire world is just focused on getting Sean's precious fucking Nintendo DS back. I'll find you, Miguel. Give me my fucking Nintendo back. Number 6. Bone Town. One can't expect a porn game to be sent.
I'm gonna skip this one.
Freaky Flyers. This game is all about dogfighting with cartoonish characters that have giant heads, but the characters also have some other traits that are very tastefully named and designed. There's a Japanese pilot named Sammy Wasabi with huge buck teeth and broken English, but the best part of all, he flies a plane called the Kamikaze Express, which makes every Japanese person playing the game feel right at home. There's also Sheikh Abdul, a turban-wearing talking camel befriending Arabic character, Polly Achi, a mobster, and Cactus Rosa Bandita from Mexico. Number 4. Custer's Revenge.
That was actually pretty bad. Oh my god. Yeah, this one's also a porn game. I'm gonna skip this one.
Playing History 2. Slave Trade. I have no idea whose bright idea was to
make
make
a game
an
about the slave
educational
trade?
kids game about the lovely subject of trading slaves and treating Africans as a...
How do you make a game about the slave trade? You kidding me? No.
They're not actually people, but it got through the drawing boards and made its way onto Steam. Obviously, a game like this is going to have to be extremely careful not to show off the slave traders that you play as heroes, but no, that's exactly what they did. They also called the slaves a number of vague profanities and didn't give them much of any personality. Possibly the worst part was the minigame that the developers ended up removing, Slave Tetris, which is a normal game of Tetris except the blocks are slaves crammed into the bottom of a ship. Number 2. Ethnic Cleansing. There's not a lot to say about this game, and the little that there is to be said about it isn't positive. The graphics are bad, the gameplay's buggy and poorly designed, and the story and premise are just as racist as the title suggests. The game begins by telling you that the race war has begun and your skin color is now your most important asset, so go out there and kill all those non-whites as fast as you can. That's pretty much all there is to the game. Murdering people because they're not Caucasians. You can't get much more racist than that, right? Number 1. Kaboom! The Suicide Bombing Game. Oops, never mind. Turns out you can get a whole lot more racist than that. Kaboom is a flash game to where you play as the most stereotypical suicide bomber possible, and your goal is to take down as many civilians as possible. The website it's featured on has various other lovely games like Border Control, a game about killing Mexicans, and a game where you shoot gay people before they rape you. One of the worst things about the game is the description on the page you get it from, which says, "Kaboom, an Arab training game." Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Alright. Yeah, that was not That was a lot more worse than I thought it would be. Like, oh my. Those games, especially like the last few, are... Oh boy. Alright. Yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. If you want to see the video I just reacted to, the link will be in the description down below. Bye.